You don't need money to land a great date. Today, I'm giving you 20 ideas that cost less than 20 bucks, and I've tried more than a few of them myself. We're going live, baby.
We'll do it live.
You're listening to the premier podcast for men who want to not only be better with women, but want to be better men in general. This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host,
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer. He is a certified master life coach and NLP practitioner.
It's true. It's damn true. Happy hump day, guys. Today we're going to help out the brokies and the guys who think you need money to get women. If you are new to the channel, my name is Paul Bauer. I help men level up and get better with women. And the funny thing about doing that is it tends to make us better men in all areas of our lives. Now, dating doesn't have to drain your wallet. Guys complain that women only care about money, but the truth is the best dates I've ever had cost less than a fast food meal. If you lead with your wallet, you'll only attract gold diggers anyway. Today, I'm walking you through 20 date ideas, all free or under 20 bucks at least. I'll even cover coffee, picnics, and hikes and exactly when those make sense and when they don't. Some are good for first dates, some aren't. So I'll call that out as we go along. But stick around because date idea number 12 will seriously change the way you think about dating, right? Now, I had a guy a week or so ago comment on one of my videos asking me to do an episode on dating with little or no money because I'm always talking about how women don't care about money. So he's like, oh yeah, prove it, you know. So I figured, why not just do a simple listicle type episode to give you guys some ideas? Now, many of these will be second, third, or fourth date ideas. You're not going to want to do some of these on first dates. I'll talk about why, just to give you some examples, right? But a few would be good for first dates, which is cool because you only need one idea for a first date that you do for every woman you meet. Okay, we'll talk about that too. All right, having a go-to place that you take every woman to on a first date. Like you're the only, or she's the only one going on this first date. You've done this a bunch of times. Okay, it builds muscle memory. Now, if any woman scoffs at these ideas, that tells you everything you need to know about her. Dump her immediately. Okay. When I was out dating, when I was out spinning plates and on the dating circuit, I distinctly remember this one woman out of Montrose because I just thought it was so hilarious, right? I had go-to places that I took every first date to. In Grand Junction, it was the Feisty Pint. If you guys have been listening to the podcast for a while, you know. If you guys ever come through Grand Junction, go check out the Feisty Pint. In fact, it was featured on diners, drive-ins, and dives at one point, I guess. I didn't know that. That's just happened to be the go-to place that I would pick. And then in Montrose, Colorado, I would pick the Horsefly. I would always say, hey, meet me at the Horsefly, right? Well, there was a time when there was this gal I matched with on, I think it was Bumble, and I said, and she lived in Montrose. So I said, all right, when are you free to get together? All right, cool. Meet me at the Horsefly Thursday night, 7 p.m. And she goes, okay, yeah, sounds good. And then she comes back later. She goes, you know, I'm really disappointed in modern men. They don't really put in an effort like they used to. Like they used to take me to steak dinners and all this kind of stuff. I just unmatched her. That told me everything I needed to know about her. She was going to be a hassle. Okay. I'm not trying to date hassles. I'm dating women that want to be with me. Okay. And this process weeds the gold diggers out, the women that demand you do more and all, whatever. Screw them. Okay. Screw them. There's 4 billion chicks on the planet. All right. You're not missing out on this headache. You're not. I promise you. Okay. So dump her immediately. These dates will weed out the gold diggers and the ones who are, and you'll keep the ones who are truly there for you because they'll be happy to do these types of things. They just want to go have fun. Okay. A lot of bad daters are constantly trying to qualify two women. All right. That puts women in the buyer position and you in the seller position. It's the wrong mindset going in. This is why you're frustrated. This is why you're frustrated. Okay. You want to be the buyer and you want these women selling themselves to you. That's using hypergamy to your advantage. Okay. So we talk about hypergamy a lot in red pill space. And a lot of guys think, oh, it's this evil thing. It's like, okay, you could look at it from that way, or you could look at how to formulate strategies around it and use it to your advantage. They want to be qualifying themselves to a guy they perceive as higher value, and it has nothing to do with money. Okay. The strongest negotiating position is being the one willing to walk away and mean it. Okay. It's also the cardinal rule of relationships. Whoever needs the other the least holds all the power. You want to have this mindset going into dating. You feel me, dog? Which leads me into the first date idea, which is the simplest, a coffee date. Coffee dates are cheap. They're super cheap. Depending on where you go, if you go to Starbucks, you're looking at, you might be looking at $11 freaking latte at the end of it, but you could just get a plain black coffee and keep the cost relatively low. It'd be well under $20. And if you don't like her, you can leave after one coffee. In fact, you could take your coffee to go, God damn it, if you don't like her. Okay. But I don't typically recommend coffee dates. I don't. The reason why is because coffee dates tends to put out a friend vibe. You're typically doing coffee in the morning or during the daytime, and that's when friends meet up. And so I actually would rather you guys do drinks in the evening because it sets the atmosphere. It's the ambiance type thing, right? You want to do what lovers do. Okay. You don't want to be your friend. You're not trying to find a best friend. You're trying to find a lover. So you got to do what lovers do. Typically that's drinks in the evening, right? That can add up. We'll talk about how to keep this on the cheap though. Okay. We'll talk about that here in a minute, but, this is how I met Nurse Chick. I met her on a coffee date. Okay. And now at this point, I'd been dating and spinning plates enough that I was like, I preferred, meeting chicks for drinks in the evening. But at that time, Nurse Chick was a graveyard shift labor and delivery nurse. So she couldn't meet for drinks in the evening because she always had to go to work. She would work 7 days on, 7 days off at that time, which is wild, right? That's wild. But she would work the full week when she didn't have her kids, and then the week she had her kids, she didn't work at all, so she could be home with her kids. So she had this 50% on, 50% off schedule with the work even. So she could never meet up for drinks in the evening. And so I said, okay, fine, meet me for coffee. And to be perfectly fair, going into that date, I thought it was probably going to be a practice date, and I really did put a lot of emphasis. Like I was all like super excited about it. I was coming from motorcycle classes because I was getting my motorcycle endorsement at the time. And so I was like, whatever, this is something to do. It's going to be fun. It's going to be nice to talk to people. It's good to practice banter and body language. And I remember getting to the place, it was a Starbucks, and Nurse Chick comes walking in and she's wearing these tight ass jeans, making her ass just absolutely pop. And I was like, oh shit, this game time. This isn't a practice date. This is for real. All right. Like game on, right? If you have good game, it doesn't matter where you talk to these chicks. So coffee dates can work. I just don't typically recommend them. Okay. But coffee dates are cheap. Okay. And like I said, if you suggest for these chicks to meet up for coffee and they throw a big fit about it, just unmatch these chicks. Okay. You don't need that kind of hassle. You don't need to prove yourself to a chick that you don't even know. Okay. She needs to prove herself to you. So you keep dates low investment until she's earned more expensive dates. You understand? Because dates add up. And most of your first dates aren't going to pan out. You're going to meet these chicks in person and realize you don't like them that much. Okay. Or vice versa. It doesn't matter. That's just how dating is. So you want to keep dates low investment in the beginning so that at the very least, you don't, put yourself into credit card debt or something stupid. Right. All right. So that's one. That's easy. That's the easy one. That's the one we're just going to get rid of right away. As these go forward though, I've got some phenomenal date ideas. I had the Wolfpack brothers. I came up with about 10 of them. And then I went to the pack and I said, guys, I need 10 more. I need 10 more. And so the guys in the pack were brainstorming yesterday. They came up with a bunch of great ideas. Some of them were expensive at first, but I was able to, finagle them so that they were under 20 bucks. Okay. So we're going to get into that. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit those notifications, would you? I do have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So the first one we have here is the farmer's market, a farmer's market walk and breakfast. Okay. Now this one you could do as a first date, but the thing is that a lot of farmers markets only happen on one day a week. So that really limits when you could do it. So I would say this is probably a second or third date type activity that you could do with a chick that you've already, met up for coffee with at least once. Okay. But if you go to the farmer's market, you split, you buy one pastry and split it in two, buy a bag of fruit or something. You're looking at $5, $10 maybe. Okay. And then you could people watch and get to know her, have her get to know you a little bit, but you really want to be a mystery. So you want to keep the conversations on them. Okay. A lot of you guys too are talking too much. If you're, I need to impress women with money. No. Impress women by having them perceive that you're a good communicator and that you really, truly understand them at a deep level. Okay. Women love talking about themselves. So just let them. Okay. And whenever they ask you a question, make it turn it into a playful thing. Don't give too much away. Make up some story about why you're an international man of mystery or you're Batman or something. Okay. I like to call it Batman game. That was always an easy go-to, easy thing to memorize. And then flip the conversation back on her and be like, nah, seriously though, my life's boring. Tell me more about this. And then go off on something else that she said. Okay. But you could do that easily from a farmer's market. It's a great place to talk. Movie theaters and places where you have to be quiet and you can't talk are the worst places for initial dates when you're trying to get to know somebody because you can't talk. You know what I mean? So don't take chicks to movie theaters and stuff like that. Don't take chicks out for dinners and stuff like that, unless you're sleeping with them already. Then by all means, take them to dinners and stuff like that. Okay, they've earned it at that point. The next one is free museum or gallery nights. In many cities, they have these monthly. The various museums in town will have a free night that you could go to. Check your local listings or whatever. But if you're in a big city where they do that, that's a perfect opportunity for a second or third date type thing. Show experience some culture together. You look very refined when you do that kind of stuff. But super cheap, right? If it's free, it's cheap. It's good. Free activity to do. Bookstore browsing plus splitting a coffee or pastry at the cafe. Okay. This sort of goes hand in hand with coffee dating though, right? But you can peruse books. I've been on dates with chicks where we just went to the bookstore and looked at different titles, and then you could poke fun at the cheesy sex novels that she's looking at and shit like that, But you're looking at, if you don't buy any of the books, which, it's better to buy books on Amazon anyway. You know what I mean? As an Amazon author, it's better to buy books on Amazon anyway, but at least you can look around for books that you might interest you and books that might interest her. And there's usually a cafe in there. I think what Barnes and Noble's pretty much the only big chain left, right? They always have a Starbucks in there. So it goes hand in hand with the coffee date. Now, before we keep going, I want to hear from you. Think back to the cheapest date you've ever been on, the one that cost almost nothing, but somehow turned into one of the best nights you remember. Drop it in the comments right now while it's fresh in your head. And if you got a date idea that's worked for you that you think deserves a spot on this list, throw a few bucks as a super chat and tell me about it. Now, hiking. Okay, hiking. A lot of people throw out hiking as a date idea. I think hiking is a great date when you're in a relationship with a chick. Okay, if you're in the initial phases of dating and you're not exclusive, I wouldn't recommend hiking at all. It's a terrible first date idea, and I'll tell you why. I did experience this because I thought the same thing. I was like, oh, hiking that's an easy one. I love hiking. It's get out, you have a chance to talk and stuff like that. let me tell you the story of Pocahontas. Okay. I matched with this chick. This was before I studied any of this stuff. This was back in 2014 after the divorce. It was my first time on the dating circuit. I was floundering. I had no idea what I was doing, right? I was an average frustrated chump, like a lot of guys coming to the space. And I matched with this chick on Plenty of Fish. I didn't know all the camera angles and the crop photos and the top down shots. I didn't know all the tricks of the trade that these fat chicks do to make themselves look slimmer. And so this chick looked cute on the dating app. And so I invited her to breakfast first, and then we were going to go hiking after. So I said, okay, meet me at the Denny's in Montrose. And so we met up for breakfast. I get there, and this chick is easily 250, 200, she was more than 200. She had to be like 250, 270 at least. You know, she was a big gal. And I walked out, I was like, oh shit, this breakfast is going to cost me a fucking fortune. Right. So I walk in, sit down. I'm like, well, I'm already here. And so I sit down, start talking to her, have breakfast. And then when we get up to leave to go get in my truck to go out to the place where we're going hiking, I look down at her feet, and I noticed that she's wearing those slip-on ballet shoes that chicks wear, you know, those slip-on shoes that are all black, right? And I look down and I go, oh, did you bring your hiking shoes in your car or something like that? Because where we're going is pretty rugged. I don't think those shoes are gonna be good. She's like, oh no, it's gonna be fine. I'll be like Pocahontas, right? That's what she said to me. I was like, all right. So we go out to Escalante Canyon out here near Delta, Colorado. And we go out to the desert to go hiking and geocaching. Right. So I went to go take her geocaching / hiking out in this desert area. And we were out there for a long time because when I hike, I'm kind of like Aaron Clary. I like to go hiking for miles. Right. So this was like easily a 3 mile, I think it was a 3 mile round trip, which isn't that long if you consider it, but 3 miles out in the rugged desert takes a long time, and it's hot. And so we get out there, her feet are hurting, she's hotter than shit. She's dying of dehydration, even though I brought plenty of water for both of us, but she's overweight. Okay. She probably has never walked that far in her fucking fat ass life. Okay. So she's dying out here. She's like taking off clothes and stuff, right, out in the middle of nowhere. And like, not in a good way, especially because she's so obese, right? But she starts just shedding clothes and then just leaving it on the trail and just, you know, and I'm like, are you all right? Like, you need to pick that shit up. You can't just leave this out here. What are you doing? You know? And she's like, oh, it's so hot. My feet hurt. Oh my God, you know, and all this stuff. I'm like, I thought you said you were going to be fine. You're going to be like Pocahontas. I didn't know it was going to be like, you know, anyway, it was fucking miserable. Okay. This is why I say hikes are not good, because a lot of first dates, you're not going to even like these chicks. Okay. And this is one of those things where now you're stuck with her for at least an hour or two. And it could have been over after 30 minutes or so if you decided you didn't like her and it was one drink. Be like, okay, well, I got to get going. You know, it was nice meeting you. Best of luck in your future endeavors. And then on a fucking hike, you're stuck with her. You're stuck with her fat ass. Okay. So hiking's not good for a first date. It's more of an activity you could do with a chick that you've been dating for a while and you actually like. Okay. You understand? The next one here, I literally just did this one on Saturday with Nurse Chick. Okay. Nurse Chick and I, we've been together for going on 6 years now. And I had originally planned more of a fancier date night thing, right? Because initially Saturday was supposed to be her 20-year high school reunion. And so I had it on my calendar and I asked her about it. She goes, yeah, the people that I want to visit with at my reunion aren't going to be there. So I don't want to go. Let's go on a date night instead. I was like, okay, yeah, sounds good. So I started planning in my head, okay, we're going to go here and then we're going to go here. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be at night. It's going to be, whatever. And Nurse Chick, she's not labor and delivery anymore. Now she works hospice, and she's basically the only one that works on the weekends. So she's the weekend hospice nurse right now while she's going to she's going back to college for her nurse practitioner. And so she just had a horrendous day on Saturday. She messages me at like 4:30. She usually gets home around 5-ish or just after 5. She's like, babe, I just got hit with X, Y, and Z. It's going to be a major pain. I don't think I'm going to get home till like 6:30 or so. And I was like, okay, no problem. So in my head, I was like, all right, we got to pivot. I got to find a different option for her. And I was like, okay, what we'll do is we'll go, I was like, why don't we just go get some Subway? Let's go get some Subway up in Cedar Edge. We'll get some Subway. We'll go up to the Mesa. We'll drive up to a lookout point where we can look out over the valley. You know, like you see in the old teeny bopper movies where the guys go out to a lookout point and make out with their chick in the car. Okay. Because teenagers are broke, right? So that's why I said when she got home, she's exhausted and stuff like that. And she was just planning on just cooking dinner. I go, nope, we're going out. I go, but we're changing plans. So I was like, go get showered, go put on some casual clothes. And when you're ready, we'll get going. And so when we got in the car, we went over to Subway, we grabbed some sandwiches and some drinks. Now, Subway's prices clearly have gone up over the years. Okay, so you can't get a $5 footlong anymore, right? It's like double that. So if you want to both get footlongs, it might add up if you get drinks and chips and stuff like that. It might go over $20. It might, okay? But if you buy 2 6-inches instead, don't be a fat ass, and skip the chips and get water or something, right? Just a cup of water. It's easily under $20, right? So do that and then go to an overlook place and just sit in your car and make out and then fuck in the back of the car. Okay. Like you guys are overthinking this shit, but women just want to be with you. They want to be in your presence. They want to have fun. They want to do something exciting and romantic. Okay. Overlooks are notoriously romantic, and people always fuck in the car because that's what you did as teenagers. So what did you do as teenagers when you were a brokey? Do that. Okay. So yeah, Nurse Chick and I did that on Saturday, and then afterwards we went down to there's a cider place in Cedar Edge. We went to a cider place. They were just getting ready to close, so then we went over to a dive bar and went over there, and people watched all the drunk fucking old ass people in Cedar Edge over there at the dive bar. But if you skip the dive bar stuff and the drinks, you could easily do that, and it's under $20. The next one I have on here is something I've heard of before. I've never actually done this myself, but it sounds super fun. It's called the Thrift Store Challenge. Okay. Now this one I also wouldn't recommend on a first date, but this absolutely could be a second or third date type thing. Okay. Thrift Store Challenge is where you take a girl to a thrift store. Okay. You set a budget. So in this case, $20 total. And what you have to do is go and find outfits and you create a persona around the outfit. Okay. And so you go there, you create a persona around the outfit. You could be like, Austin Powers, 70s man of mystery or something, and buy some, fucking 70s button-up shirts and whatever, bell bottoms. I don't know, whatever. Use your imagination. The thing is when you do these types of activities, you're creating a world where it's just you and her. All right. I talk about this in the book Keep Your Bitch, which is a book for LTRs, right? It's game for LTRs. You want to be creating a world where it's just the two of you. All right. Now, this is like some NLP type shit, right? You want to create this, use her imagination where you're creating a story and a theme where she can imagine herself being in the story with you. You understand? You see where now her mind's associating all this type of stuff with you. All right. You could do that for under $20. Then you guys get dressed up in your outfit and go around like the mall acting out your parts. Okay. Less than $20. All right. Now here's something to think about while you're picking out that outfit at the thrift store. Getting her to say yes to the date, that's the easy part. So far, you've just spent this episode learning 7 ways to do that for under $20 with 13 more still coming. That's a completely, but getting her on the date is not the same as getting her into bed. That's a completely different skill set. And it's one most guys never figure out on their own. If you want to know exactly how to take a good date and turn it into a night that ends with her in your bed, I wrote the playbook. It's called Dick Her Down Right. And we're going to take a quick break so I can tell you about it. The link's in the description and in the chat.
Have you ever had sex and honestly wondered,
Did she actually enjoy that, or was she just going along with it? Because chances are she's had better, and she remembers it. What if I told you there's a way to make sure you're the one she can't stop thinking about? Most guys think good sex is about stamina or size. It's not. The men women are genuinely obsessed with aren't the biggest or the longest lasting. They're the ones who know exactly what they're doing. They're not fumbling around hoping something works. They walk in with a plan. They read her body. They control the whole experience from the first move to the last. And when it's over, she's not thinking about sleep. That's not some rare natural talent. That's a skill set, and it can be learned. Dick Her Down Right is the no-nonsense manual that breaks down exactly how women's bodies and minds work during sex, how to take charge of the experience like you actually know what you're doing, and how to become the man she's telling her friends about. Not the guy she had an okay time with, the guy she keeps coming back to, the guy she'd do almost anything to keep happy because what he does to her is in a category by itself. Every technique, every approach, every psychological principle is laid out straight. No theory, no filler, just the real information that makes the difference between average and unforgettable. Dick Her Down Right is available on Amazon or Audible now. Any man who wants to be better in bed and have any woman he's with completely hooked on him needs this book. Get it today. Indeed. Brother Dale says, meet for drinks at a local bar happy hour. Simple. Yeah, simple. That's why my go-to was always the Feisty Pint or the Horsefly at 7 p.m. You know, it was like just meeting at a local bar. It's so fucking simple. And it's drinks only. It's relatively low investment, right? Yeah, like at some places, depending on the drink, you might end up spending more than $20. But they serve soft drinks too. So if you're like a lot of guys are like, oh, I don't want to go to a bar because I don't drink alcohol. They serve non-alcoholic drinks. Okay. Don't overthink this shit, guys. Okay. It's not about what you're drinking. It's about the atmosphere you're creating. Okay. Nurse Chick says, good morning, gentlemen. Happy hump day. Nurse Chick always gets this.
I'm so naughty.
She is.
I'm gonna come.
Oh, I will.
That pussy must be ridiculous.
Guys, fucking ridiculous. Dar Fitness says, happy hump day, gents. This entire episode reminds me of the scene from Half Baked where he is broke and meets Mary Jane. He robs the panhandler. Yeah, that scene's exactly how you could do this, right? I'm not saying walk up to a panhandler and steal his money so that you can get some of that money back. But yeah, it's funny. He's like, why don't we take the bus, right? Like, let's create an experience. When I first met my my now ex-wife, I went home on leave, right? I went home on leave. I did everything wrong, you know, but you know, like we went to the movies and all that kind of shit, right? And I spent the entire week with her because I was on leave. You're not supposed to do any of that shit, right? But it's one of those things where you can do, like, if a chick really likes you, you can do everything wrong and they still like you, right? Well, after that experience, we had this long-term relationship, or long distance relationship where like we barely saw each other for almost a whole year, which is another terrible thing. Like long distance relationships is basically glorified pen pals. It's not good for men to do that kind of shit, right? And so I convinced her to come out to San Diego. And when she came out to San Diego to visit me, I was broke as a joke. Okay. Because I was like an E2 or an E3 in the Navy. I was absolutely fucking broke, right? And I lived on the ship. And so she got a hotel near the base. And I remember that first night there, I was thinking like, oh, fuck, dude, I have no money. I have no money to take her out. What am I going to do? And I was like, I'm going to bring her on the ship. I'm going to take her on a tour of a U.S. warship. And then I'm going to take her down to the galley so she can have the full naval experience, right? So we ate in the galley on the ship, which is free for me, right? And free for your guests if you bring them on. And she loved it. She ate it up. She had never been on a U.S. warship before, let alone ate Navy chow in a fucking mess decks on a U.S. warship before. Like, it was an experience, okay? So I want you guys to get out of the idea of money and get into the idea of creating experiences, okay? It'll change your whole perspective about why women only like me for money and shit. That's because that's the only thing you've ever offered them, okay? Create experiences and create worlds, use their imagination. This is where, like, one of the things I talk about in Dick Her Down Right is a woman's biggest erogenous zone is in her mind. So use this to your advantage. Okay. But a lot of you guys are so serious all the fucking time. You guys are so fucking black and white thinking. You guys are so whatever. It's maybe because you have an analytical job. Maybe you're like a computer developer and you're only seeing ones and zeros and shit, right? Like, get out of that shit. Okay. Get out of that world and into the world of women. And women are feelings-based creatures. They like to experience feelings. Okay. Now in the red pill space, we, like, a lot of guys will make fun of that shit. Oh, women are, there's stupid women for believing in fucking horoscopes, whatever. Okay. Like, get out of that shit and have fun with it. All right. That's all. Like, you don't have to believe any of their bullshit. You just have to have fun with it and create a world for them. And if you can create a world where they feel like they're a part of a world where it's just the two of you, dude, it's like fucking putty in your hands, bro. Okay. It's not even that hard. All right. You just need to get that stick out of your fucking ass and have some fun. All right. Dark Fitness says, should you be dating if you're broke? Money, muscles, game, and frame. I don't like using the word should too much, right? I don't like shoulding all over people. If you ever read When I Say No, I Feel Guilty, which I highly recommend for you, Dark Fitness, it's a phenomenal book, but one of the things he points out immediately is that when people use the word should, it's manipulative language by default. It's you're basically projecting your values on other people and telling them how to live their life. You should be doing it this way because this is what I would do, right? So like when you're broke, I honestly think when you're broke is the best time to go dating. It's the best time. Okay. Because I want you to understand something. Money's for you. It's not for her. Money's for you. Okay. And I want you to reverse these four, the core four. This is what he's talking about is the core four: money, muscles, game, and frame. Shout out to MLD. If you flip it around, the most important things that you should be working on when it comes to women is frame, then game, then muscles, then money. And money's for you. So the first three, you'll do just fine with women. You don't even need the money part. Okay. And money's for you. I would invite you guys to look at it from that perspective, because if you can learn how to do all this stuff without money, imagine when you get all these chicks who love you and you've got money now. Like, now it's just a bonus. And now it's one of those things where discovery trumps disclosure. Women want to discover you as they go along. They want their life to feel like an unfolding love story that just sort of unfolds. And when they find out that you're actually a rich guy, or, at least, you make decent enough money, they're like, oh shit, this guy actually has a lot going for him. And I already love him. You see, this is why you don't lead with your wallet, so that you don't attract shitty women that are only there for your money, that only want to use you and discard you. Okay. There's a method to the madness here. Brother Dale says, farmers market's first date gives you a chance to see her interacting with people as you move from stand to stand, checking out fruits, veggies, take her on a picnic by the lake, eat berries with her. Yeah, all this good stuff. We're going to get into like picnic type activities here in a minute. The next one I have here is geocaching. Okay, now this one would be fun for you guys if you're into like any kind of high tech nerdy shit, right? If you go to geocaching.com, you can sign up for a free account. Okay, it's super fun. It's basically a high tech treasure hunt game, and it's everywhere. It's fascinating once you get into the world of geocaching. Geocaches are everywhere. Everywhere you go, there's geocaches hidden in plain sight, hidden in places you would never even look. And a lot of times they're real small and they just have a little log book that you can find. Sometimes if you go out to like the national forest, you'll find big ammo cans with toys and trinkets and all that kind of stuff. It's fun to find these types of things. Nurse Chick and I just did this in Vegas a couple of months ago. We went out for our anniversary to WrestleMania and we stayed at Aaron Clary's house there in Vegas. And one morning, Aaron and his girl had something going on. And so Nurse Chick and I had a bunch of time to kill. So we went out for breakfast. And after breakfast, I was like, you've never been geocaching. I've never taken you geocaching, right? She's like, no, not. And I go, well, you're going to learn today. And I pulled up the geocaching app on my phone. I hadn't used it in years. And I was like, let's see if there's any geocaches around. And sure enough, 2 miles down the road, there was a whole string of geocaches. And so I took Nurse Chick out over there to go find them. Most of those geocaches got muggled, unfortunately. That's the shitty thing about geocaching, is when you go looking for the geocaches and you can't find them, it starts getting frustrating. But when you find them, it's super exciting. And we found one that hadn't been muggled, right? And they used the terms from Harry Potter, right? Where geocachers are sort of like the wizards. They hide stuff and it's all in plain sight. It's all around you. And muggles they have no idea that they're there. But if a muggle these muggles are non-geocachers. If a non-geocacher finds them, oftentimes people are dicks, right? So they'll ruin it, they'll steal it, they'll throw it away, like whatever, right? So when a cache is missing or destroyed, we say it got muggled. Well, most of the caches we were looking for were gone. They weren't even there. But we found one, and I knew it was in a certain vicinity because on the app, you're using GPS coordinates to find these hidden items. So I'm looking for it on my phone, and we get to the vicinity, and I've done geocaching enough to know where people typically hide these things. And I go, why don't you look in that pipe over there? And I'm going to look over here, and Nurse Chick found it. It was hanging from a wire down this pipe. And she goes, is this it? She pulls it up, and it was like a film canister with a logbook in it and stuff like that. And she was super excited. Oh my God, I found it, right? It's fun. It's fun to do. Totally free. Absolutely free. Okay. Free outdoor concerts, movie nights, or live music in the park. Okay. A lot of parks have these types of activities where they'll have live bands coming out. Like the city will pay for a local band to come and play. You could go out there with a blanket. You could bring picnic items, right? You can do picnics in a lot of different places. In fact, going up on the Mesa with Nurse Chick, if I really wanted to be cheaper about it, instead of going to Subway, I could have made sandwiches at home from the supermarket, and it would have been like under $5 per sandwich, right? It would probably been like $3 worth of sandwiches per person. And we could have done that up on the Mesa too. Same thing, right? Once you guys think outside the box, you don't always have to go out and buy stuff. You can buy stuff from stuff you have at home. So you can do that with a free concert in the park too, right? Bring a blanket, bring some folding chairs, and bring a picnic. Bring a cooler with some beer if your parks allow it. Whatever. Okay, keep it. That's all under $20. You can go do that. I remember in San Diego, the city during the summer, they would have free movie nights around the city at various places. And one night, the family and we all went to the Midway Museum, which was free for San Diegans. And you went up, it was free for San Diegans that night to go watch movie on the flight deck is what they had. And so we went up there on the flight deck of this old retired aircraft carrier and watched a big movie. They had a big inflatable screen and they played a movie up there, and it was fucking awesome, right? Lots of that kind of stuff available. Just look around, be creative. Okay. Trivia night at a local bar. Okay. There's no cover at most places. Just split an appetizer if you want, or, just get a couple of drinks or whatever. You could probably do that for under $10. Nurse Chick and I do that frequently too. We'll go down to Applebee's down in Montrose, and they have the trivia game at the table, and we'll get we'll get a 2 for $20 type meal or something like that. Keep it, low cost or whatever. And maybe we'll get a couple of drinks. Now, when we do it, we've been together for a while, so I don't mind spending that kind of money, and I'm not a brokey, so I don't care. But you could do that. You could keep that cost low by splitting something and just, playing trivia there. That's a fun thing to do. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that maybe on a first date, because you don't want to be playing trivia on a first date. You want to get her talking about herself. You want to get to be knowing each other. So maybe a second or third date type thing. All right. Now, if anything I said hits home for you, the easiest way to show your support is a super chat. So throw a super chat in there. Just throw a couple bucks. Tell me where you're from and pick one of the sound drops you want to hear when I read it. Takes you 10 seconds and tells me you want more of this kind of content. All right. Now, another one I have on the list here is a food truck rally or a street fair. Okay. You can, like, a lot of these types of things, if you really want to keep it low investment, like, split stuff. Okay. Buy something and split it with her. All right. A lot of women want to pick at your food anyway. They don't want to feel like they're fat shits. So they don't want to, I don't want to eat, I'm eating like a bird because, I'm worried about my waistline. Like this is what they tell you so that you think that they're really concerned about their weight, but they probably go home and eat an entire fucking cake or some shit, right? Those a lot of chicks like that out there. So just be like, all right, let's split something, right? And just get something, split it, and now you have something. You can browse the rest of the food trucks, street fair, look at all the trinkets and shit that they're selling. Probably do that for about $8 to $12. Every year up in Cedar Ridge, Colorado, which is up the road for me, they have an annual Apple Fest in October. And the last few years has been garbage. I haven't been wanting to go there. But when I first moved here, it was a really fun event. They had all sorts of activities. They had free samples everywhere, free samples of all the local orchards. They would have free samples of cider and, apple slices. They still do all that kind of stuff, right? But they have food trucks with giant turkey legs, and they have all sorts of vendors selling their, trinkets and stuff like that. It's just fun to walk around for the day. There's playgrounds there because there's a park. You have all sorts of fun at those types of events. They're very inexpensive to do. Now, here's the one item that will surprise you that I talked about at the beginning, that I teased at the beginning. And I have it here as wine in a backpack. Okay, wine in a backpack. Now, I did this during COVID. Okay, because everything was shut down during COVID, but I was still out gaming chicks. Okay, there was no place to take a chick. There was no restaurants were open. There was nothing open when I started doing this type of activity. And what's fascinating about this was that every single guy in the 3% man group that this podcast came out of, every single guy during COVID that wasn't afraid to go out because, there was this flu around, right? Like guys that weren't afraid to be out in town fucking cleaned up on the dating circuit. Absolutely fucking killed it. Because that whole time we were all in lockdown, chicks wanted to fuck. Okay? Chicks wanted to fuck that entire time. So if you weren't a pussy and you've actually fucking left your house, you could absolutely kill it on the dating circuit. And this is one of the things that really cemented it for me, that chicks don't care about money. Okay? Wine in a backpack. So what I would do, because there was no places to go, is I would say, cool, when are you free to get together, right? And so I had my two go-to places. It was like, for Grand Junction, it was like Las Colonias Park. And then if it was Delta, it was Confluence Park. And if it was Montrose, they have I can't remember what the name of it is, but they have like 2 dog parks there, the big area down there. Like those were the 3 places, the parks. Okay, go to a park. And I'd say, okay, cool. Well, since nothing's open right now, why don't you meet me at this park? And a lot of first dates, chicks don't want to meet up in places where a serial killer can kill them, right? And you're not a serial killer. And so you want to make them feel safe. You want to take them to a place where it's public and there's going to be people. Okay. A lot of this is making women feel safe and secure. They're deathly afraid of creeps. There's tons of creeps out there. I see them in the comments all the time, right? So a public park where there's going to be other people, invite them out there and just say, hey, meet me at this park. I'll smuggle some wine and some glasses in my backpack and stuff like that. And we can have a chat. Right. And all chicks were jumping at that. They were like, oh yeah, absolutely. And they would meet up. Some chicks were like, oh, I don't like wine. I'm like, okay, cool. Like I'll bring a cooler of beer or something like that. So I'd bring like a 6-pack of beer in a cooler, and we would sit there on the park, like, in the riverfront there in Grand Junction. You can sit on a park bench and overlook the river. It was really nice. And you'd sit there on the park bench. They would sit right next to you. Perfect for Kino escalation and shit. Right. You could buy a 12-pack of beer for under $10. You know what I mean? Like a 12-pack of Coors Light is like $9.99. You know what I mean? Like super cheap. And, you could buy a bottle of wines, if you're not buying fucking Cristal, right? Like just buy a bottle of cheap ass wine. Doesn't matter. Chicks don't care. Chicks, they can't taste the difference if they don't see the label. You know what I mean? Like fucking. And then I went to, where did I get these? I think I got them at Walmart. They have wine glasses that were plastic. They had plastic wine glasses. And so I could put them in my backpack and they wouldn't break in there. You know what I mean? So I just have bottled wine in my backpack and fucking clean it up. Just absolutely cleaning up on the dating circuit. Okay. Costs less than $20. Now this one, brother AW in the Wolfpack was very, very serious about taking chicks to the gun range. Take them to the gun range. Let's shoot some fucking guns, right? And I'm a country boy, so I'm like, I'm all about it, right? But a lot of like, you're doing what you like, you're doing something that you absolutely love to do on a first date that a lot of chicks probably have never done in their life. They probably don't like that stuff. I wouldn't necessarily take a chick to a gun range on a first date. Okay. But we're not going to do that because it adds up. One of the things I kept pointing out to him was like, dude, ammo alone is going to cost probably more than $20. Ammo gets expensive, right? Especially if you're doing a lot of shooting. And then guns by themselves, to even have them, it's going to cost you a lot of money to even have the guns. And he's like, well, go to the range and rent a 22. 22s are cheap. It's like, that's true, but there's gun range fees. Then you got to buy the ammo. Then you got to rent the gun. That's going to add up over $20 easily by that point. Okay. So we're trying like, and that's a great date idea. I'm not shitting on that. It's just what we're trying to do for this episode is keep it under $20, right? So then I had this epiphany. I go, what about instead of taking her out to a gun range, okay, go in and make homemade bows and arrows and take her to a park. Now, I wouldn't do this on a first date, but definitely a second or third date. You could totally do this, okay? Now, my dad used to make these for my brother and I when we were kids. He would make them out of willow, like a very springy, spongy type branch, like a willow tree is perfect for this. Get the thicker branches for the bow itself. Then go to like a hardware store, the dollar store, and get a ball or like a spool of twine or nylon string would be better, right? That's easily less than $5. Now go out, cut these, and make a bow, and then find the straightest arrows you can find and cut them into like spear heads and put a little notch on them and stuff like that, and make arrows. You can make the feathers, or what's it called, the fletchings or whatever for the arrow out of my brother and I used to do this with milk jugs. You can cut the feather parts out of milk jugs and hot glue it. So you could do this all ahead of time and just have this ready, to do for chicks if you want. Okay. And then you can make targets out of like old cereal boxes and stuff them with newspapers or something and take them out to the park and see who's a better shot with these fucking homemade shitty bows and arrows. Okay. And you're probably not going to shoot them they're not going to be that accurate. They're whatever. That's a part of the fun, right? Who's the worst at this? Okay. Now I want to tell you a story. Nurse Chick and I, we went out to England a couple of years ago, and a 3% brother of mine, we were staying at his house up in Northampton. Professor Lewis, we used to call him in the 3% man group. And he was on the podcast a couple of years ago, a few times. So if you go back into the old episodes and look up the professor or Professor Lewis, he was on the podcast a bunch of times. But he took Nurse Chick and I out to a local park there in up near Northampton, and he had these homemade atlatls. If you don't know what atlatl is, it predates the bow and arrow. Okay, it's basically a lever you hold that has like a notch in it that you put a long spear on, and it allows you to use physics and leverage to throw that spear farther than you could if you just threw a spear. Okay, so it allows you to throw it way farther. And so he had these homemade atlatls with homemade spears that he made out of like bamboo, out of these like long straight dowels, these, whatever. He had a bunch of different ones. And we went out to this park and we're seeing how far we could throw these things, right? Like it was super fun. Nurse Chick, me, and Professor Lewis out there fucking hucking these spears in the middle of fucking nowhere. Absolutely free. Right? So if you're the type of guy that wants to use armed weaponry on your dates and you want to keep it under $20, try making homemade bows and arrows or a homemade atlatl or something like that, and then have fun in the park doing that kind of shit. It's fun. Okay. Let's see here. Now, guns, if you already own the guns and you already have a bunch of ammo, because this is one of the things that AW said. He's like, well, use the ammo you already have, right? Well, that's assuming that the brokies that are concerned about money on dates have all this ammo already, but they might very well, right? So if you already have the guns and already have the ammo, you can go out to, it depends on the area, right? Like out here, I could easily take Nurse Chick out to the Adobes in Delta, Colorado, and we could shoot fucking tannerite out there. I have shitloads of ammo. We could easily go out there for a day, and it wouldn't cost me any extra because I already have all this stuff. So we could easily do that. Maybe buying the tannerite, would cost extra money. Okay, so you could do that. But a lot of places, when I lived out in California, trying to find a open public place that you could shoot was near fucking impossible. There was a San Diego County did have this open space park at one point when I lived there that people would go out there and shoot, but dumbass people in California were leaving fucking refrigerators out there. They were leaving television sets and shit out there, and people were shooting it all up. And the sheriffs finally said, no shooting, no fucking shooting. They said it's a fire hazard, but really it was because people were leaving their garbage out there, right? So the only place that I know of, and they might not even allow you to do this now. But the last place I went shooting out there in near San Diego was down in Jamul, down by the Mexican border. And because there's desert BLM land out there, federal BLM land, and you could still go shoot out there. But the same thing, there's fucking old shot up television sets and shit out there. And when you're out there shooting, the Border Patrol is driving behind you and stuff. The Border Patrol is not going to care that you're out there shooting, though. A shipmate of mine and I went out there shooting the last time I went, and Border Patrol was driving by. They would drive by slow to see if we were illegals or not, or maybe cartel members or something. But when they saw that we were white, they let us go. They didn't fucking care. They didn't stop and hassle us or anything. And we were shooting up old hard drives and stuff like that. But in your area, you might not even have that. So you would have to go to a range, and there's range fees and all that kind of stuff. So I wouldn't necessarily do that if you're trying to save money. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, man, I wish I had guys in my life who would actually take me out to throw spears with atlatls or build bows in the park instead of just texting me memes, that's exactly what the Wolf Pack is for. We've got a hangout tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern time, and it's the kind of place where this stuff actually happens, not just gets talked about. Head to wolf.comeonmanpod.com and get in before tomorrow night to show up for the hangout. Beer Club? Not anymore.
Wolf Pack, you fix what's broken. You lead like a man again. No pity, no therapy. Just fire, just flame. Cold bed, broken home, midlife drift, feeling alone. You don't need hacks, blogs, lies. You need men with fire in their eyes. We rebuild from the ground up. No excuses, no soft stuff. Telegram lit 24/7. Brothers locked in steel, not heaven. Step inside the pack. We don't fall, we attack. Truth, fire, presence, we bring it back. Masculine pride, no time to slack. Step inside the pack. Drop your past, claim your track. No therapy talk, no playing small. We sharpen blades, we take it all.
Oh, for the love of God, too sweet me, baby. Erkin says, good day, folks. Good to see you, brother. Phil says, hoorah. Dark Fitness says, I didn't realize Nurse Chick was that much younger than you. Nicely done, sir. Oh, yeah. She's 9 years younger than me. Yeah. It was funny. We were talking about this. Nurse Chick and I were talking about, I think we were talking about this either at the cider place. We were talking about it on Saturday on our date night. And we were talking about my time in the Navy, and she goes, it's crazy to think that I was 10 years old when you joined the Navy. I was like, yeah. Mm-hmm. Actually, no, she was younger than that. She was younger than that. Let's see here. The experience is everything. Starbucks is just coffee. People go for the experience and the status it portrays. Exactly. And then, yeah, that makes total sense. Not shitting on everyone. Yeah, I never thought about it that way until I read that book, and I was like, oh crap. One of the things that Manuel, whatever, the guy who wrote When I Say No, Feel Guilty. He goes, whenever someone says you should be doing something, or you should do this, or you should do that, he goes, your manipulative like antenna needs to go up and go, what are they really trying to get me to do? It's just something to think about. Brother Dale says, just remembered a first date was free San Francisco Symphony concert in Yerba Buena Park. I brought 6-pack of Mike's Hard Lemonade, then straight back to my apartment, closed the deal. Yes. You know, that what was awesome too about COVID, right? And the wine in the backpack thing was that it also really cemented for me that you didn't have to take these chicks out and date them for weeks and months on end to get them to sleep with you. Right. Because one of the things that I learned from Corey Wayne's book, How to Be a 3% Man, was that women will sleep with you by the second or third date on average. Okay. Now, if you go on a first date and do a drinks only and then take her down the street to another venue to do darts or whatever. Okay. Now, in her mind, she's been on 2 dates with you already. It speeds up the process. Okay. A little bit harder to do when it was meet up for drinks in the park. So what I would do was we'd meet up for drinks on a park bench. We'd drink the wine or whatever. Then we would go for a walk around the park just to change the scenery. Right. Then on the second date, because nothing was open, I would invite girls back to my house to let me cook them dinner. I'd say, hey, you know, so like the next week when I would reach out, I'd be like, when are you free to get together? And I'm like, well, since nothing's open, why don't you come over to my house? I'll cook you dinner. And they're like, oh, okay, that sounds wonderful. And they would come over. And once a girl comes over to your house, it's like a fucking throwing a lamb in the lion's den, brother. You know what I mean? You know, as long as you don't stick your foot in your mouth, sex is going to happen. Women don't go to a guy's house not anticipating sex to be a possibility. Okay. So as long as you don't put your foot in your mouth, you're probably going to get laid that night. So chicks were coming over to my house on the second date for, you know, and I would cook them dinner, and that's still under $20 worth of stuff. Right. Okay. Where are we at here? We just finished the Wolfpack thing. So the next one I have here is a bonfire at a park or a beach with a 12-pack. In San Diego, there's all the beaches, almost all the beaches have fire pits. Okay. And some of them you have to reserve or whatever. It just depends on your area, but there's a lot of places where they have bonfire pits for people to go and bring fold up chairs. Same kind of thing. It's a fun activity. Sitting around a bonfire, telling stories, that kind of stuff. People love that shit. Okay. Absolutely love that shit. And Nurse Chick and I do a version of this because I have a fire pit in my backyard. And Nurse Chick and I, when it's like the fall or the wintertime, that's one of our favorite activities. We go out there for a fire pit night. We go out there with adult beverages, we call it. We go out there with adult beverages, sit by the fire. It's nice and cold, but it's warm by the fire and stuff like that. Super romantic vibe, you know, around the fireplace like that. But there's, you know, like I said, San Diego, they had beaches with bonfire pits. You could easily do something like that. Super cheap. Okay. In fact, it's a lot of people in San Diego will drive around to like the supermarkets and go behind the supermarkets and like the Home Depots, and they'll steal pallets and they'll use that for the firewood. Okay. I'm not recommending that you steal pallets. Okay. But you could acquire wood however you acquire your wood. I'm not asking questions. All right. Go have a bonfire at the beach. Pool or darts at a dive bar. You know, I have that. Like that was, like I said, that's a really great option for a second venue. If you take a chick on a first date and things are going well, take her down the road to a different venue. It's got to be a different venue. So don't do all the shit in the same venue. Take her down the street to a different venue to do darts or pool. That's a great opportunity for Keno escalation and stuff like that to really start moving things forward a lot faster. Okay. And dive bars are just fucking cool, man. I love dive bars, especially like if you make a lot of money and you go to a dive bar, there's just a vibe about dive bars. Right. So Nurse Chick and I, the closest dive bar is the Pondy in Cedar Edge. And it's such an odd grouping of characters in that place. It's one of those places too. When I go there, I just want a shitty banquet beer. I don't want to drink any kind of fancy, you know, microbrew type beer when I go in there. I want a fucking shitty Coors because that's the vibe it puts out. It's like it really is like an old Western bar when you go in there. There was a really cool place in San Diego when I lived there, especially when I was in the Navy, called Ye Old Plank. Yeah, I don't know if it's still there. It probably is. But if you go down to Imperial Beach, California, there's this old dive bar down there called Ye Old Plank. They have a really cool patio area. It's right on the beach. And a lot of the sailors would go down there and hang out and stuff like that. And I used to like going there all the time. Let's see, where else is CB's down in Delta is a nice one. You know, that's one I like to go to. But find a dive bar in your area that you kind of like the atmosphere there. That's a fun place to go. Usually they have darts and pool tables. Pool tables are still like 50 cents or $1. You know what I mean? Like you can play pool with a chick. Play distraction pool. It's a great opportunity to invite her to touch you. Because when you open the floodgates for women, you just give them an excuse. They fucking take advantage of it, right? Say, okay, we're going to play distraction pool or we're going to play distraction darts. That means like we can do anything to each other to cause a distraction so that you don't hit your target or you don't sink the ball. And then when a chick realizes, oh, okay, like women just carte blanche will touch you wherever the fuck they want. Like women don't care. Women don't care about consent, right? They just fucking touch you wherever because they know you don't care about it, right? As soon as you can get a girl starting to do that kind of stuff, it's a done deal, okay? It's a done deal. Now you can say, hey, let's get out of here. I got a bottle of wine back at my place. So I'll challenge you to a game of Jenga or some shit, right? Easy close, okay? Speaking of dive bars, you can do a karaoke night at a dive bar, okay? Karaoke is super fun. I'm the kind of guy though that I need at least a couple of drinks before I'll get up there. But when I get up there, I have a fucking great time. Okay. Dive bars are fun. Chicks love singing songs about sex and shit, you know. Just give them an excuse. That's all you need is give these chicks an excuse. By the way, guys, follow me on social media. The links are in the description. We have a couple more chats here. Erkin says, when women are on a diet, they actually make the boyfriend go on a diet, not themselves. Do they though? Do they? I don't know about that. Darfin sent a $2,000 super chat for misogyny. So he wants some misogyny.
Misogyny.
Yes, definitely. Brother Dale says, my college years in California, my biggest closer first dates were a blanket on the beach with a 6-pack of Bartles and James peach wine coolers. Shebang. See, you don't overthink this shit, guys. Okay. What did you do when you were broke? All right. Now, the thing is that I think a lot of the guys that are asking for this are broke, right? Like they haven't gotten past the broke stage yet. So they're like, what do I do? Do all this kind of stuff that we're talking about. All right. Be creative with it. $5,000 super chat from Dar Fitness. Also shame these. Yes, we've got to
shame this horse.
Yes, you should shame these whores. Always shame these whores. And then Brother Dale sent a $5,000 super chat. How important is it to calibrate the venue activity to the woman in question, or better, just give a new experience adventure? Don't calibrate to her at all. Okay. I want you to you never ask chicks what they want to do. Always do what you want to do. But I would try to think of it from a perspective of how can I make this fun for her? Okay. Because there's a lot of shit that chicks that you're going to want to do that chicks aren't going to be interested in, right? Like that's why taking a chick to a range might not be the best idea, because there's going to be a lot of chicks that don't really like guns that much. Brother Dan in the Wolf Pack, his brother is my best friend since kindergarten, right? Brother Dan's brother, I remember one time his wife was posting on social media because his brother never posted on social media himself. His wife was always posting, and it was always posts about how wonderful their life is and how great their relationship is and whatever, maybe it was. But I distinctly remember one time I was really big into like pro 2A stuff, like, Second Amendment. And I was really big into politics and all that kind of negative bullshit. And I remember she was out shooting guns with him one time. And you know, he had some ARs and pistols and whatever. And she posted 3 times that day. And each one, the caption was, doing what hubby likes today. Doing what hubby likes today. Right. And so I put in the comments, I go, don't lie, you like doing it too. And she's like, not really. Right. Not really, but he likes it. So I like being with him. You know, that's how she phrased it. She didn't like going out doing guns. Okay. You got to understand, like, all the stuff that you want to do, I want a chick that wants to go to football games with me. I want a chick that shoots guns with me. I want a chick that goes fishing with me. Like, just, you want to date another dude if you're thinking along those lines. So I would invite you guys to get your head out of that. Okay. Go do that kind of shit with the boys. Do other kind of shit with chicks. Okay. But still do things that you would like to do. Like, you plan it out, things that you would enjoy doing, and think about it from a perspective of how you can make it fun for her. Now you can make gun shooting and fishing and all that kind of stuff fun for chicks, obviously, but just start thinking about from those points of view. Like, what kind of world can you create with this? Okay. Now, if you're taking her to the gun range and you're like, okay, now we're international secret agents, okay, and we got to fight off terrorists or whatever, like, make it a fun thing like that. Sure, by all means, do something like that. Okay, but don't worry, don't go and do girly ass shit because you think she wants to do girly ass shit. You don't have to do that. And then I'm going to give him this one because he's a goddamn.
This stuff will make you a goddamn sexual tyrannosaurus, just like me.
That's right. Let's see here. Yes, get in the wolf pack, damn it, for the hangout tomorrow night, 7 p.m. And then Darfinish also says taking them to 2 different places in one is called bouncing or something like that. I remember learning that way back in the day and thinking it was great. I didn't know that it had a term. I always called it the 2-date-in-1 experience. But yeah, that's an old pickup artist trick too, by the way. And he goes, is that what my wife was doing to me? She asked me on the date, took me to Dave & Buster's and then Chipotle. Yep. She was trying to keep it cheap. And it's not hard to impress a guy, right? But I really want you guys to just understand that a chick who's truly into you is going to want to do all this kind of shit. They're going to just want to be with you. Okay. They're going to want to be around a guy that likes to have fun. Okay. If you guys look at, the thumbnail for the episode. Now, if you guys are watching the replay, you might get a different thumbnail because I A/B test thumbnails. But the initial thumbnail is women don't care about money. They care about this. Okay. They care about being around a guy that they can have fun with. If you can provide that experience to them, money doesn't matter. You understand? It's about the experience and the feeling. Women care about how they feel in the moment. Okay. And if you can create good feelings and have her associate those feelings with you, she gets invested in you, not your money, not whatever. Okay. That's what they care about. I have a $20 grocery dinner challenge. Brother AW came up with this one too in the wolf pack. So what he was saying is you have a $20 budget, you go to the store and you guys have to come up with a meal that's less than $20. All right. Which is super easy to do. Like, if you're really trying to eat cheap, I mean, just ask a college student. College students, there's almost all sorts of fancy ass shit you can make with ramen. Ask my daughter. My daughter is like, she did a few cooking videos on TikTok recently, or maybe a couple months ago, because she's a starving college student, and she was making ramen noodles and doctoring it all up. It probably cost her $5 for the entire meal, but it really looked delicious when she was done with it. Okay. So if you really want to keep things cheap, don't go out to restaurants, figure out ways to buy food at a grocery store, like a picnic, right? And take chicks on places where you're making this stuff for them, or you get her. Better yet, if you've been dating for a while, get her to make this shit for you. Okay. Why don't you make us a really good picnic basket, and I'll bring the fold up chairs and stuff like that, and like, let's go have a picnic at the park, right? Like, this stuff can be cheap. She just wants to be with you in your presence and have fun. So make it fun. I want you to imagine being a little kid. Like, a lot of you guys, not all of you guys, but most people, when they were little kids, they would play make-believe. They'd play pretend somehow. Guys usually would play like army soldiers or fighting ninjas or whatever it was, right? Race cars or whatever. But when you were a kid, when you started playing with your Hot Wheels cars and they're racing around and stuff like that, it was playing for a minute, but then it became real. Right? In your mind, your imagination took you in and you were fucking the race car driver. You were that guy, right? You were the fucking ninja, right? You were Snake Eyes fighting off Storm Shadow and shit, right? Like, when you're playing with the toys, you became those guys and it became real for you. I want you to take yourself back there and do that on dates. Create a world where you guys are on an adventure together, even if you're not really. One thing that I like to do with Nurse Chick, because she loves dressing up and getting fancy, and there's no place on the western slope of Colorado to do that, is we'll dress up and then we'll go to places and everyone's wearing shorts and flip-flops or cowboy boots and ranch attire, and we're dressed to the nines. and I go in, we go in there, and I act like I'm James Bond, and we sit down, and then I go looking around at all this riffraff. Like, we're so much better than these people. You know what I mean? Like, I'm creating this world where this makeup world where we're this fancy people and these people are riffraff, right? We're just regular people too, but it's fun to do that because we're, you know, you're bringing her into this world and you're creating an experience. Okay. Brother Kamal from Wolfpack says, take the dogs from a local sanctuary, like a local dog kennel, you know, like the pound, like go to the pound, and they are always looking for volunteers to take these dogs on walks. Okay. So take her to a local place and get a dog and take them out on a walk. Okay. Chicks love fucking cute, cuddly animals. Okay. So do that kind of stuff. That's free. Absolutely free to do that. Brother Dale in the chat there, he came up with people watch and make up stories about their lives. Nurse Chick and I do this all the fucking time. All the time. We'll be at a coffee shop. We'll be at a breakfast place. We'll be at the mall. It doesn't matter. We'll sit there having coffee, having adult beverages. We'll people watch, and we'll say, look at that couple over there. That guy's name is Charlie, and that's Gertrude. All right. And we'll make up stories about who they are, what they do for a living, why she hates her husband, like all this stuff. We'll make up all this bullshit. That's such a fun thing to do. And then the last one I have here, this actually is a perfect first date. Okay. Like I said, find for your first dates, pick one thing and take all chicks on this. They don't know that you take all the chicks here. And if they ask you, oh, do you do this with all the chicks? Just say just the cute ones. Okay. That's a shit test. Don't, oh no, you're the first one. Don't do that. Okay. Just be like, yeah, only the cute ones. Okay. Turn it into playful banter, right? So pick one. This is an opportunity though, because like, what did I say at the beginning? I don't recommend coffee dates. I recommend drinks in the evening. If you go to a place like a brewery, like a microbrewery type place, they had these up at the cider place that Nurse Chick and I went to on Saturday. Ask for a flight of drinks, right? A flight of beers, a flight of ciders, flight of wine, whatever, flight of whiskey, whatever you're into. Okay. Just order a flight. Usually a flight is under $20 and there's multiple drinks there. There's small drinks you can share with her. Okay. And then if you like her, you can order more drinks. You can always order more drinks. If you don't like her, it's over after the flight. You've spent less than $20. Okay. And find a go-to place where you take every chick there. Okay. She's the only one on this first date. You've done this 100 times. Okay. It builds muscle memory. It builds up social proof when you get to know the bartenders and the waitresses and the staff there. Like they get to know you. That creates social proof. All that kind of stuff shows her that you're a high value guy. Okay. And high value is not money. It's perceived sexual market value. And that comes with stuff like pre-selection and creating this world and whatever, all this kind of stuff. It's demonstrated higher value. Chicks eat that shit up. It has nothing to do with money. Okay. All right, cool. That's all we got. That was 20 ideas. I want you guys to not, maybe pick some of these. That's fine. But I want you to look around the idea behind them and how can you be more creative with this stuff? So you're not spending all this fucking money out there spinning plates. Okay. Because if you're spending gobs of money trying to impress these chicks, you're going to be broke as fuck. You're going to be broker than you already are. Stop doing that shit. Okay. Keep dates low investment. Make these chicks get invested in you first before introducing them to more expensive dates. Typically, they're sleeping with you already. Okay. That's what I mean by they're invested. They've shown that they like you for you. By fucking you. Okay. Now, the liberals in the comments will get, on Facebook will fucking lose their mind over that kind of shit. But this is what you're looking for most guys. They're looking for that kind of thing. Okay. Now, guys, if they're honest with themselves, would say that stuff. Nice guys will be like, no, I want something more than that. I want something where I've got to, whatever. I'm not going to have sex for 3 months or whatever. Okay. But that whole time she's using your ass. Okay. So what do you want at the end of the day? Cut the shit. We are meeting hot chicks because we want to have sex with them. Cut the shit. Be honest with yourself. Okay. If you go from that point of view, you're going to find chicks that are into you for you, that are willing to sleep with you without spending all sorts of money. And then once they've earned that kind of shit, then now let's go on more expensive dates. Okay. This is how you keep dating low investment and not break the bank. All right, guys, that's all we got for this episode. Tune into the podcast on Friday. I had this weird idea on the, when I was taking Nurse Chick up to the Mesa to eat Subway. What if we're seeing the multiverse all around us every single day? It's just never been obvious to us before. Okay. Now, as you're thinking about that, how can you use that for your mental frame? Because it is going to be Frame Friday after all. You'll have to tune in to find out how to use this in regards to your mental frame. Okay. We're going to have some fun with the woo-woo, but you guys will enjoy this one. I'm gonna blow your minds with this. Okay. And like I've said on the last few woo-woo episodes, I don't want you guys to necessarily believe in the woo-woo when I talk about this stuff. What I want you to do is use this as a mental model to see things differently. Okay. So we are going to get into the woo-woo, but it's going to be fun, and you're going to be able to use this in your life for your own mental frame. Okay. It's going to be a fun one, and it's probably going to be the best episode I've ever fucking done. Maybe not. I don't know. But that's all we have. So be sure to like, subscribe, hit those notifications. We do have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That's all I got, guys. We'll see you next time.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. Now, go out and get it.